Dear friends, from today onwards, I am going to start a lecture series on Indian aviation and global aviation. My first topic is 100-year journey of Indian aviation. My request to you is to kindly subscribe my channel and press bell icon so that my latest videos should reach to you on time. Let us start the history of Indian aviation. Aviation in India is broadly divided into two disciplines. One is military aviation and the other is civil aviation. India has extensive civilian air transportation and is amongst the fastest growing country. The fastest growing aviation market as per the details published by IATA. The first commercial aviation flight in India took place on 18th February 1911 from Allahabad to Naini, covering 9.7 kilometers journey. In December 1912, the Indian State Air Services with Imperial Airways introduced a London-Delhi based flight that was the first international flight to India. The Tata Sons started a regular airmail service between Karachi and Madras in 1915. This was the beginning of an air transportation in the southern part of India. In 1927, the Department of Civil Aviation was set up and the Aero Club of India was also established. In 1930, Madras Flying Club was set up. If I talk about 1931 and 1932, in 1931, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, was set up. And in 1932, 15th October 1932, Indian aviator J.R.D. Tata flew aircraft carrying mail from Karachi to Juhu Aerodrome, Mumbai, and continued till Madras. This was the start of Tata Airlines, which later became Air India, the flag carrier, in 1946. In 1934, Aircraft Act 1934 was introduced. In 1937, the aircraft rules were framed to regulate the civil aviation industry in India. In 1940, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited was set up at Bangalore. In 1941, India's first aircraft was rolled out for test flight. In 1950, when India became a republic, the Royal Indian Air Force was renamed as Indian Air Force, removing the prefix word of Royal. In 1953, the Indian Parliament passed the Air Corporation Act, through which the 8 domestic airlines which were operating at that time were merged into 2 government entities with the name of Air India and Indian Airlines. In 1960, the first jet aircraft was introduced for commercial passenger traffic. In 1971, a pair of Indian Air Force MiG-21 took part in the Indo-Pakistan War of 1971. In 1972, the International Airports Authority of India was set up to manage 4 international airports at Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Madras. In 1986, the National Airports Authority of India was set up, and the responsibility to manage domestic airports with providing air traffic services and air navigation services were given to this organization, whereas the International Airports Authority of India was responsible to manage 4 international airports in India. In 1991-1992, the domestic Trivandrum Airport was converted as international airport, and the responsibility to manage this airport was given to International Airports Authority of India. In 1994, the then government decided that the International Airports Authority of India and the National Airports Authority of India should be merged into one identity, because both the organizations were working in the same field. Therefore, in April 1995, with the Act of Parliament, the International Airports Authority of India and the National Airports Authority of India were merged into one organization, and the new unified organization with the name of Airports Authority of India was set up. The responsibility of Airports Authority of India was given to manage domestic, international as well as airstrips in India, provide air traffic controller services and ANS services to the aviation industry. If we talk about the period of 1991, this period was a categorically good period or the changing period for aviation in India. The aviation industry was deregulated in 1991, and the entry of private airlines to provide charter services were allowed. The East-West Airlines became the first private airlines to operate in the country after 37 years. In 1991 and 1992, the Jet Airline was established on 20th September 1991 and began its operations on 3rd December 1993. The Jet Airways later on acquired Air Sahara Airlines on 24th April 2007, and the Sahara Airline, after merger with Jet Airlines, was renamed as Jet Light. In 1994, private airlines were permitted to operate scheduled services, and several private airlines commenced domestic operations. The Government of India allowed private airlines to operate charter and non-scheduled services under the Air Taxi scheme at that time. When the Air Corporation Act was repealed in 1994, and private airlines were allowed to operate scheduled services, private airlines like Air Sahara, Modi Luft, Damania Airways and NEPC Airlines commenced domestic operations during this period. In 1995, Jet Airways began full-fledged operations with international flights added in 2004. The airline went public in 2005. The year 2003 is known as the turning point in Indian aviation industry, when the first low-cost airline, Deccan Airways, entered into the service in Indian market and started its operations. The new low-cost carriers followed the model of no frills, cheaper tickets and higher passenger load factor. In 2003, the Kingfisher airline was established and started its commercial operations in 2005. However, due to continuous losses since the day of its inception with high debts, finally the airline closed its operations on 20th October 2012. 2004, the Government of India approved setting up of the first airports with private partnership at Hyderabad and Bangalore in December 2004. The regional airline policy was also formulated to allow carriers to operate services within a particular region in 2004. In 2004 also, Jet Airways started its international operations. In 2005, after starting its international operations, the Jet Airways began full-fledged operations with international flights. The airline went public in 2005, and in 2007, the Jet Airways acquired Air Sahara. In 2005, 4th November 2005, Go First also started its operation as an low-cost airline. In 2006, low-cost airline Indigo also started their operations. In 2007, the government airlines, Air India and Indian Airlines merger was approved, and a new company with the name of National Aviation Company of India Limited was set up. It was also decided that Air India will continue to fly with its name. In 2009, the Airports Economic Regulatory Authority was set up. In 2019, the loss-making airlines, Jet Airways, ceased its operations. In 2021, Air India was sold to the Tata Group, and the transaction for the purchase of Air India was completed in January 2022 by the Tata Group. In 2023, Tata Group's Air India inked multi-billion-dollar deals with France Airbus and American plane maker Boeing to buy 470 passenger aircrafts, out of which 250 aircrafts are Airbus and 220 aircrafts they are going to purchase from Boeing company. In June 2023, the Indigo Airlines, which is considered as India's most preferred airline, further defining its long-term future well into the next decade, has placed a firm order for 500 Airbus 320 family aircrafts. Recently, on April 25, 2024, Indigo has agreed to place an order for 30 Airbus 350-900 series aircraft, which will enable Indigo to spread its wings further and expand its network. Friends, with this background and history of Indian aviation, it is seen that air transport market in India is forecast under the current trend scenario to grow by 262% in the next 20 years. This would result in an additional 370.3 million passengers journey by 2037. The increased demand of passengers would support approximately 127 US billion dollar of GDP and will provide almost 9.1 billion jobs. So dear friends, I will again request you to subscribe my channel and press bell icon. Thank you very much. Have a good day.